pẹ́ títí ọjọ́ àpín o bọ́nà bá jìnnà jìnnà àdópin o àti sáré àdópin aré àbàtìjìyà àdópin ìyá o àti sunsun àti kọ̀ ògiri ó má ti gbẹ̀yìn kọ́lọ̀ tí mọ́ o mẹ́ni.
ilé òní gbóná kárẹ̀ lu omi kọ́lé ayé òní kóró bàbá bíbá ọ̀run o láyé náà la ó wà títà ó fi ṣẹ́gun lójú àwọn ọlọ́tẹ̀ ẹkún àkọjá òkùnkùn wájúmọ́lẹ̀ káwa ọmọ Yorùbá ọjọ́ ayọ̀ tún wọlé o.
láéláé kan bá ó mà di láéláé kan bá Yorùbá ò ní jọba lẹ́ẹ̀fẹ́ nìkan ó di gbẹ̀yìn kọ́ lọ sí mọ́ o.
ẹ̀dìdé bí ológun ẹ bá jàgbá sílẹ̀ o ẹ rántí àtọmọdọ́mọ onísùnwà kò ní rẹ̀ wá bá ó fi ṣẹ́gun ẹni tó dé ó sọ́jú ẹni tẹ̀lé ń bọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ò ní ní dúró kẹ́dúró gbọ̀n kẹ́dúró gbọ̀n kẹ́dúró gbọ̀n 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 àtùpà tó ní pọ̀n yóò bí ẹ bá sùn ẹgbẹ́ ọjọ́ ayọ̀ tún mọ́lé o.
Bí a bá kú tí a bá jí a ó mẹ́ni rí fẹ́ràn ẹni bá ṣàìsàn kò ní yóò lè mọ iye àlàáfíà. Bí a bá ṣaláìní ká tó wálé a ó mọ iye bàbá fojoojúmọ́ jẹun ata. Ó dé bá fún Yorùbá tí í ṣe ọmọ Odùduwà bàbá mi òkè gàgàgà tí í ṣe nípè lẹ́yìn àjòótọ́. Ọ̀yọ́ Ìbàdàn Oǹdó Ìjẹ̀ṣà Ilé Ifẹ̀ o.
Wá ohùn alóore Odùduwà ló ń pè.
Àkúrẹ́ Ọ̀wọ̀ Ìkàrẹ́ Ẹ̀yìn Èkìtì ẹgbóhùn Ìgbé o.
Wá ohùn alóore Odùduwà ló ń pè.
Ìbàràpá Ilé Ẹ̀gbádò Ẹ̀yìn Ọ̀ṣun ẹgbóhùn Ìgbé o.
Wá ohùn alóore Odùduwà ló ń pè.
Ẹ̀yìn Ìjẹ̀bú ọmọ Àlárẹ̀ Ẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ ọmọ Lísàbí.
Wá ohùn alóore Odùduwà ló ń pè o ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá ọjọ́ ayọ̀ tún wọlé o.
Kónílé mo kálejò mo kí lọ́kùnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kí lóbìnrin mo kí ọmọdé mo kí àgbàlagbà síwájú kí n tó máa lọ mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo olólùfẹ́ mi nílẹ̀ Yorùbá mo kí ọba mo kí lọ́balọ́ba mo kí ládéládé mo kí lóyè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá mo súnmọ́ba níwọ̀n ìgbèje mo jìnnà sọ́ba níwọ̀n ẹgbẹ̀fà nítorí pé àrọ́bàfin lọ́ba ń pa èmi ò máa bá wọn sí nínú àrọ́bàfin mo wá ṣe ládùúrà wípé kí adé pẹ́ lórí fún gbogbo ọba ilẹ̀ Yorùbá pátá kí èjìgbà lẹ̀kẹ̀ kó pẹ́ lọ́rùn o kí bàtà kó pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀ kí ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ ọba kó pẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ọba bákan náà ni pé kí ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ ọba ó dábẹ́rẹ́ o káwọn olórí kí wọ́n sì ṣiṣẹ́ ìbí mo fàsìkò yìí dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo olólùfẹ́ mi tí ń wò mí káàkiri ayé ojú tẹkú fi ń wò mí ò ní fọ́ etí tẹ̀sí fi ń gbọ́ mi etí náà ò ní di lágbára Olódùà ọba òkè gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń wò mí láti Nàìjíríà tẹ́jọ́ ọmọ Yorùbá abọ́mọ ẹ̀yà míì náà tó nífẹ̀ẹ́ sétò yìí mo kí yín ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń wò mí káàkiri ilẹ̀ Áfíríkà mo kí yín bákan náà ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń wò mí káàkiri àgbáyé tó kù Amẹ́ríkà ní Canada ní European countries ní àti káàkiri ayé Asia gbogbo yín náà ni mo kí o láì dá ẹnìkan sí ẹ̀yin gangan ní èjìká tí ò jẹ́ kọ́rùn ó jábọ̀ mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo yín wípé ẹ ṣeun ẹ tún káàbọ̀ sórí ètò Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ TV ètò náà ètò kan ètò kan ètò tí a ti ń ṣojú kóòtù òjíire káàkiri gbogbo ayé ètò náà la tún gbédé lónìí o ẹ bá mi wá nǹkan fìdílé tàbí kí ẹ fìdílé nǹkan kẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ a jọ gbádùn ètò tòní, ẹ jẹ́ a jọ gbé ètò tòní sí orí agbami, kájọ gbé ọkọ rẹ̀ sí ojú agbami, kájọ túkọ̀ tòní. Ó sì dá mi lójú pé èbúté ayọ̀ òun náà ní àjọjá sí. Kí n wá tó máa lọ, bí mo ti máa ń sọ ní gbogbo ìgbà wípé ẹ wo bí tí wọ́n kọ subscribe sí fún ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá tí tẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin ò ṣe tẹ subscribe yẹn lónìí, kẹ́ kílíkì sí, kájọ kọ́mọ lùbọ́, kájọ dìkan náà. Kẹ́ ẹ máa wá wo ètò yìí, kẹ́ ẹ máa padà, kẹ́ ẹ máa wò, kẹ́ ẹ máa padà láì ṣe pé subscribe kò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ dá tó, torí pé ẹ tí ì di ara wa. Àmọ́ tẹ̀yin bá subscribe síbẹ̀ lónìí, lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ẹ ti di shareholder Gbàgede Ìmọ̀. Ẹ̀yin náà ẹ ti bá wa fi ọwọ́ sí oríire ètò yìí. Gbogbo ibi tá a bá dé lórí ètò yìí, a máa rántí yín, a sì máa dúpẹ́. Ìyẹn nìkan kọ́ o, ẹ wo ibi tí wọ́n fi àmì aago sí, à ń pè yẹn ní notification bell. Tẹ́ ẹ bá ti tẹ̀, ìgbàkígbà tí n bá ti ṣe fídíò jáde, ẹsẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti máa wá alert yín wípé Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ ti jáde. Ẹ bá wo ibi tá a wà yìí, ẹ rí wípé inú stúdíò tuntun la wà. Ó ti yàtọ̀ síbi tẹ́ ń wò. A ṣe ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ àìparí ẹ̀. Tá a bá parí ẹ̀ tán ní agbára Ọlọ́run. Ẹ̀yin náà ó rí párá ọ̀tọ̀ ní Gbàgede Ìmọ̀. Oríṣiríṣi ètò láti làálẹ̀. Ètò ìròyìn wà ń bẹ̀, eré ìdárayá wà ń bẹ̀, àṣà àtìṣe wà ń bẹ̀, eré orí ìtàgé wà ń bẹ̀, níùsì lórí gbogbo àìmọye nǹkan. Torí pé Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ ti di online TV. Gbogbo tí wọ́n sì ń ṣe nínú tẹlifíṣàn náà lẹ máa wò kedere nínú channel wa. Láṣẹ ní kẹ́ bá wa dòwò pọ̀, kẹ́ subscribe. Ẹ má wàá já bòpò lọ́lé olóró, kẹ́ má jẹ́ ká sọ iléyá, ká má sọ dìlé pẹ́. A tún ti kóró yìí wá débìbà lónìí bí àti ṣe máa ń gbé wá o. Oríṣiríṣi ló ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ bí ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá tí a ò mẹ́nubà, sọ́sẹ̀ yìí sí òpin ọ̀sẹ̀ yìí àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Mo bẹ̀ wá lánàá pé kẹ́ ẹ má bínú nítorí wàhálà tá à ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ ni. Ẹ̀yin tí ẹ sì wo àgbéléwò tàná, ẹ̀yin náà rí i pé mo bẹ̀ wá ń bẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ lónìí látorí ṣéwù wa ọ̀gbẹ́ni àgbà arákùnrin tí ń jẹ́ Gumi mà ti yílu ẹnu padà o. Ó ti bẹ̀bẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pé ẹ má bínú o wípé òun lọ sígbòho. Ó lóun ò déédé lọ sígbòho. Ó ní kìí ṣe tàfojúdi ló ṣe jẹ́ kóun lọ sígbòho. Nígbà tó rí tú tí ó ní kálukú pa, torí gbogbo ìgbésẹ̀ tọmọ Yorùbá gbé, Gumi yílu ẹnu padà o. Ó lóun fàsìkò yìí bẹ gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá pé kán má bínú wípé kìí ṣe pé òun dìídì lọ sígbòho. Ìlú kan tí wọ́n ń pè ní Bàrùbá Léṣà, ó níbẹ̀ lòun lọ jẹ́jẹ́. Ó lóun ò dé Ìgbòho rí, òun ò sì rírí. Ó níbi tóun ti wá ń lọ ìgbìn ní àwọn tá a lè sọ ẹntọ́rájì òun, àwọn ọ̀sọ̀ǹgbè. Ó níbẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti ní bàbá ìlú Sunday Ìgbòho rèé o, ó làwọn ń kọjá yìí. Ó lóun sọ pé ìlú Sunday Ìgbòho ni ẹni, ó níbẹ̀ ni tó. Ó lóun lọ pé ńgbà tóun wá ń padà bọ̀ lòun wá ní kóun bọ́lẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ kóun wo bí ìlú ọ̀hún ti ṣe rí. Ó nítorí ẹ̀ lòun ṣe wọbẹ̀ o. Ó ní I did not mean any harm. Ó lóun ò ronú pé bóyá aburú kan lòun fẹ́ ṣe sílùú yẹn. Ó wá ní ẹni tóun bá ṣẹ̀ látara pé òun lọ kí wọ́n má fi bínú o. Gumi ètò sọ òun náà lágbọ́ yìí. Àwọn Bokoharam àti àwọn agbénipa tí a mọ̀ sí Bandits, oríṣiríṣi ni wọ́n ti dánwò ní ìlú Nàìjíríà àti pàápàá jùlọ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ṣé tẹni tí wọ́n gbé, àbí tẹni tí wọ́n pa, àbí tọmọ ọlọ́mọ tí wọ́n sọdá aláìní bàbá aláìníyá, àbí tìyàwó tí àwọn ẹni yìí sọdá aláìlọ́kọ, àbí tọkọ tí wọ́n sọdá aláìláya ní káwí. Oríṣiríṣi tú ni àwọn arábí yìí ti pa. Mo wá fẹ́ mú wa rìnrìn àjò káwo díẹ̀ nínú tú tí wọ́n ti pa. Bákan náà ni pé ká wá sọ nípa àṣírí tó tú. Àṣírí tú lórí kọ́mpìnì wo gan, iléeṣẹ́ wo ló ń sponsor àwọn Boko Haram. bákan náà ni pé tá làwọn èèyàn individual tó sponsor Boko Haram bí wọ́n ti ní company tó sponsor wọn both home and abroad bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni wọ́n ní individual tó sponsor wọn. Màá tú gbogbo àṣírí yẹn fún wa nínú fídíò yìí àmọ́ kí n tó máa lọ bẹ̀ on the 24 oṣù tá a wà nú ẹ̀ September yìí on the 24 yìí ni ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari ni wọ́n máa àdírẹ́sì General Assembly nínú question and answer section fún United Nations 76th United Nations meeting tí wọ́n máa ṣe. Tá a bá dẹ̀ rántí àrí pé ní ló dijọ́ kẹta tí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ 1 million man march fún United Nations láti lè fi ẹ̀hún tí Yorùbá àti Niners lápapọ̀ tí wọ́n fi ẹ̀hónú hàn lórí aburú tí àwọn Fúlàní agbénipa tí wọ́n ṣe ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àti nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà generally àti lórí referendum tí Yorùbá ní àfi dandan kí wọ́n buwọ́lù kí wọ́n jẹ́ kí Yorùbá máa lọ wípé àwọn ò ṣe mọ́. Èní ló pé ọjọ́ kẹta. Àkọ́kọ́ náà àìbò àgbéléwò díẹ̀ lára ọjọ́ kẹta rálì tí wọ́n ṣe yìí. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì ni pé mo fẹ́ sọ fún wa pé ní agbára Ọlọ́run torí pé ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari ó máa àdírẹ́sì gbogbo nation àsìkò oníkálukú lẹ́ni nísìn Joe Biden president America ló máa sọ̀rọ̀ lónìí on the 24 ni wọ́n pín fún president ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ṣùgbọ́n Niners tí olórí wọn ti ń ṣe Professor Banji Akintoye wọ́n ti announce pé ní on the 24 yẹn gangan àwọn march 1 million march àwọn ṣe ní àrà ọ̀tọ̀ láti lè fi hàn gbogbo ayé pé ọ̀gbẹ́ni tí ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ yìí òun gan ló wà nídìí àwọn apanirun àwọn Fúlàní. Wọ́n láwọn á ṣe 1 million march specially lọ́n the 24th of September 2021 ní ìgbà tí Mr. President Nigeria His Excellency the amiable President retired General Muhammadu Buhari nígbà tí wọ́n bá àdírẹ́sì gbogbo àwọn United Nations. Mo wá fẹ́ ká wo díẹ̀ lára ìjọ kẹta day 3 tí àwọn Niners àpapọ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá àtọmọ Yíbò àti South tí wọ́n papọ̀ tí wọ́n fi ẹ̀hónú hàn lórí wípé àníṣe ètí Fúlàní pa wá nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àti ilẹ̀ Yíbò àti South ètò pa wá tó àwọn fẹ́ máa lọ jẹ́jẹ́. Eléyìí ni à ń pè ní referendum tí wọ́n ń béèrè tí wọ́n fi ṣe 1 million march. Ẹ jẹ́ ká dé Amẹ́ríkà ní pápápá ká lọ wò kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lénìí tó jẹ́ day 3 mò ń padà bọ̀.
Ẹ má bẹ̀rẹ̀. Yorùbá nation ẹlẹ́ni ló máa fẹ́. 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 Àsíá o Yorùbá nation ẹlẹ́ni ló máa fẹ́. Yorùbá nation báyìí kò rí ẹ kú ẹlẹ́ni ló máa fẹ́. 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 Àsíá o Yorùbá nation ẹlẹ́ni ló máa fẹ́. Ọmọ àníyá gbé lárugẹ. Ọmọ àníyá gbé lárugẹ. Ọmọ àníyá gbé lárugẹ. Ọmọ àníyá gbé lárugẹ. mi mọ̀ ẹlẹ́jọ́ tó múdà nation mi wọ̀ Yorùbá nation Yorùbá nation Yorùbá nation Yorùbá nation tẹ́lẹ̀ ò mọ̀ rẹ o tẹ́lẹ̀ Yorùbá nation tẹ́lẹ̀ ò mọ̀ rẹ o tẹ́lẹ̀ Yorùbá nation tẹ́lẹ̀ ò mọ̀ rẹ o tẹ́lẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ ni yóò máa fẹ́ 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 àsíá o Yorùbá nation tẹ́lẹ̀ ni yóò máa fẹ́.
Let me go get a new battery.
Yorùbá nation. Nigeria is about to snap.
Yes.
The UN must act now to avert catastrophe. Being a letter addressed to UN Security Council, the Trusteeship Council, and the General Assembly, September 14, 2021, by the Nigerian Indigenous National.
Ẹ káàbọ̀ padà. Yorùbá ní àjọbẹ̀là ó ṣe díẹ̀ nínú olè. Díẹ̀ náà tá a fi hàn wáyé mo rò pé ó sì débì kan. Odindi fídíò bí wọ́n ti ṣe tòní sí ó ti wà lórí igbá lẹ́yìn náà máa wò ó. Mo ń sọ̀rọ̀ Boko Haram àti àwọn bandits Fulani agbénipa darandaran tó di darandaran. Mo ń sọ nípa wọn wípé àṣírí wọn tú àtàwọn aburú tí wọ́n ti dánwò. Tá a bá gbàgbé lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta yìí ni wọ́n gbé sẹ́nétọ̀ kan. Orúkọ sẹ́nétọ̀ náà máa jẹ́ Fort Nelson Effiong láti Eket ní Akwa Ibom Senatorial District. Àwọn jẹ́ sẹ́nétọ̀ ní 2011 sí 2015. Àwọn agbénipa àwọn Fúlàní wọ́n ti gbé ọkùnrin gbogbo àná láti gbọ́ yẹn tẹ́lẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n tó wá sọ ni pé káwọn tó lè fọkùnrin sílẹ̀ wọ́n làwọn á gba 200 million. Ìyẹn ni pé ọgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà ẹgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà ọgọ́rùn-ún méjì 200 million. Wọ́n ní làwọn fẹ́ gbà káwọn tó gbé sẹ́nétọ̀ ìsílẹ̀. Nínú àìmọye èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ tí wọ́n ti gbé ṣé tọba tí wọ́n gbé lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tó wà nígbèkùn wọn ni ká sọ, àbí tìjòyè tí wọ́n gbé, àbí tẹni ẹlẹ́ni tí wọ́n ti pàdánù nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àti nílẹ̀ òkèèrè ní àríwá náà àti gúúsù àti ní ilẹ̀ Yíbò níbo ni wọn ò ti ń pààyàn kiri. Ìjọba tó sì wà lóde wọ́n kọ tí ọ̀gbọ́n yìí sí wọn ní o, wọn ò tí ẹ̀rí tí wọ́n rò rárá. Àṣírí kan wá tú sí mi lọ́wọ́ tí mo fẹ́ kí gbogbo wa ó gbọ́. Àṣírí yìí ó sọ nípa àwọn mélòó gan ní iléeṣẹ́ tí wọ́n parapọ̀ tí wọ́n sponsor Boko Haram àti Bandits. Àṣàwọn kan ni wọ́n fún wọn lówó pé ẹ máa pààyàn lọ. Àti Bandits àti Boko Haram méjèèjì làwọn ẹni sponsor. Iléeṣẹ́ wà tó sponsor wọn lọ́tọ̀, ẹ̀dẹ́ èèyàn náà dẹ̀ wà tó tún sponsor wọn lọ́tọ̀. Àṣírí tó wá tú yìí láti United Arab Emirates tí a mọ̀ sí UAE, ibẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti publish àwọn list yìí wá. Mo fẹ́ kí gbogbo wa fetí gbọ́. Àwọn apanirun àwọn ìkà, iléeṣẹ́ tó jẹ́ pé ń táwọn wà fún òun náà ni kí wọ́n máa sponsor pípààyàn tí Boko Haram ń pa àwọn èèyàn nílùú Nàìjíríà. Mo fẹ́ ka àwọn iléeṣẹ́ yìí bákan náà ni pé ń tún wá ka orúkọ, kì í ṣe ọmọ Nàìjíríà nìkan ni wọ́n o, ọmọ ìlú mi náà ń bẹ mò ń bọ̀. 15 companies and 36 names of Boko Haram sponsors in Nigeria. Highlight 1. Effort of United Arab Emirates UAE at exposing terror sponsors. Àwọn tí wọ́n kọ ìwé ìjáde òun náà là ń gbọ́ yìí. Ìkan wá láti United Arab Emirates tí ṣe UAE. Jáde wípé àwọn tí wọ́n sponsor Boko Haram lẹ́yìn investigation wọn, lẹ́yìn ìwádìí ni wọ́n discover pé n tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ rèé. Wọ́n ní analysis of the list. Nínú àwọn tí wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ yìí, ẹni 6 jẹ́ ọmọ Nàìjíríà, 8 láti Yemen, 6 Nigerians, 8 Yemen nationalists, 5 Iranians láti Iran ẹni 5, 3 Syrians yẹn pé láti Syria ẹni 3, 4 UAE nationals that is ẹni 4 láti United Arab Emirates, 2 Iraqis ẹni 2 láti Iraq, 2 from St. Kitts and Nevis ẹni 2 wá láti St. Kitts and Nevis. Mi ò mọ̀ ìlú tí yẹn wà kódà mi ò gbọ́ rí. 1 sponsor from Jordan ẹnìkan ó wá láti Jordan, 2 Lebanese ẹni 2 láti Lebanon, 1 Indian ẹnìkan láti India, 1 Afghanistan tí táwọn Taliban ti gbàjọba wọ́n lẹ́nìkan wá láti bẹ̀. 1 sponsor from Saudi Arabia wọ́n lẹ́nìkan wá láti ilẹ̀ Saudi, and 1 from Great Britain wọ́n ní British pàápàá láti ìlú òyìnbó wọ́n lẹ́nìkan bẹnu wọn tó sponsor Boko Haram. Wọ́n ní the sponsors and their nationalities are 1. Orúkọ wọn rèé, orúkọ wọn ni mo fẹ́ kà yìí. Orúkọ àwọn sponsor Boko Haram àti àwọn bandits agbénipa. Orúkọ àkọ́kọ́ ni Soliu Yusuf Adamu, ọmọ Nàìjíríà ni. Ibrahim Alhassan, Nàìjíríà ni. Mohammed Ibrahim Isa, ọmọ Nàìjíríà ni. Suraju Abubakar Mohammed, ọmọ Nàìjíríà ni. Bashiru Ali Yusuf, Nàìjíríà ni. Abdulrahman Ado Musa, Nàìjíríà ni. Mohammed Sakar Yusuf Sakar Al-Sabi, United Arab Emirates, ọmọ Dubai ni. Said Nasiru Ateniji, ọmọ United Arab Emirates. Ahmad Mohammed Rahman Umaid Al-Hashmi, ọmọ United Arab Emirates. Ahmed Mohammed Abdullahi Mohammed Al-Shaibi Al-Noibi, ọmọ United Arab Emirates. Mehdi Asizola Kaisati, ọmọ Iran. Mohsen Hassan, ọmọ Iran. Said Raza Mohammed Grazing, ọmọ Iran. Farshad Qatar, ọmọ Qatar ni. Mohsen Hassan Kalgodat Abadi, ọmọ Iran. Said Raza Mohammed Grazing, ọmọ Iran. Fahad Jafar Akida, ọmọ Iran. Ibrahim Muhammad Alhamid, ọmọ Iran. Ala Kafura, Syria. Osama Hussein, ọmọ Syria. Khazim Mozin, ọmọ Syria. Mohammed Ahmed, ọmọ Yemen. Sheikh Ahmed Sharif, Yemen. Rashid Saleh, Yemen. Naif Nasir Saleh, Yemen. Abdul Ahmed Salim, Yemen. Sulaiman Saleh, Yemen. Fadil Saleh, Yemen. Ashur Umar, Yemen. Imad Khalid, Yemen, Russia. Aida Habibu, Iraq. Basim Yusuf, Iraq. Walid Kamil, St. Kitts and Nevis. Khalid Walid again, St. Kitts and Nevis, Mohammed Ayman Jordan àti Hassan Hussein Lebanon, Abdul Adham Hussein Lebanon, Manoj Sabarawal India, Subaila Abdullahi Abdul Qahir Afghanistan, and Nasir Al-Azir Saudi, Fadisat Komor Great Britain. Gbogbo àwọn tá a kà yìí àwọn ni wọ́n papọ̀ ni wọ́n gbé owó ńláńlá lẹ̀ fún Boko Haram kó máa pa àwọn èèyàn lọ àti fún àwọn darandaran Fúlàní tí a mọ̀ sí ọ̀daràn lónìí. Àwọn Fúlàní yìí ó pọ̀ nínú àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣiṣẹ́ yìí wọ́n ò wá láti Nàìjíríà nìkan o. Tá a bá gbàgbé Fúlàní agbénipa kì í ṣe láti Nàìjíríà nìkan ni wọ́n ti wá. Ẹ wo gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n sponsor wọn. Ilé-iṣẹ́ àwọn èèyàn tó sponsor wọn la kà yìí ó tún kù ilé-iṣẹ́ tó tún sponsor wọn rèé. Companies that sponsor terrorism in Nigeria and their operation headquarters. Àwọn company yẹn la fẹ́ kà yìí. Àkọ́kọ́, Nasir Al-Jamus General Trading, United Arab Emirates. Nasir Al-Jamusi Cargo and Clearing, United Arab Emirates. Wave Technical Company, United Arab Emirates. NYBI Trading, FZE, established in 2014. Nibi Trading Pricing in Private Limited, United Arab Emirates. KCL General Trading, Ajman, United Arab Emirates. Aliman Group, it is medical services company based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Al-Omigi and Bros Money Exchange, it's a money exchange company based in Yemen, United States. United States in November 2016 sanctioned the same company to sponsoring terrorism. Wọ́n ní 2016 United States wọ́n ti sanction company yìí rí fún the same crime wípé wọ́n sponsor terrorism. Al-Jamus Cargo and Clearing, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Four Corners Trading Establishment, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Sasco Logistics, it is a shipping company that is based in Deira Al Riga, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Rail Tracing Trading, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. HFZA, it's a marine chemical manufacturing company based in Ayman Free Zone, Sharjah, United Arab Emirates. Anan Shipping LLC headquarters is located at 171 Al Nada St. Coisas, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Al Jamus General Trading, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Al Jamus Trading Transport by Heavy and Light Trucks. It's a logistics company based in United Arab Emirates. Activities of Boko Haram have killed thousands of Nigerians, displaced millions of others, majority in the northeast. Tó gbogbo àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ àti ẹ̀dẹ́ èèyàn tí wọ́n ti pa tí wọ́n sponsor àwọn Boko Haram ó ńlá kàjáde yìí o. Ẹ wá ṣe kinní kan fún mi ní tí mi ò sọ rí lórí ètò màá sọ lónìí. Ṣe rí fídíò tẹ́ ẹ wò yìí, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ bá jẹ́ alágbára tẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ wọ́n rí ní Àbújá, ẹ bá wa ju fídíò yìí sí wọn l'Àbújá kí wọ́n fojú ara wọn rí kán sì gbọ́ orúkọ tá a kà yìí. Company wà Nàìjíríà tó wà ń bẹ, individual èèyàn tó ń gbé Nàìjíríà wà ń bẹ tá a kàrúkọ wọn jáde. Let the government winch on these people, let the government manhunt them. Kí ìjọba wá wọn lọ kí wọ́n bá wa mú wọn. Tí omi bá tán lẹ́yìn ẹja àwọn ará bíi n tó dá mi lójú ni pé wọ́n á dẹ̀yìn lẹ́yìn ọmọ Yorùbá, wọ́n á dẹ̀yìn lẹ́yìn ọmọ Nàìjíríà. Àmọ́ ìjọba tó fẹ́ mú wọn dà, ṣèjọba tó rí wọn bí ẹni pé bísínẹ́sì ni wọ́n ń ṣe, ṣèjọba tó ń fún wọn ní go ahead, ṣèjọba tó mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ máa fìyà jẹ Yorùbá. Ẹ jẹ́ ń jáyé sí kinní kan. Tí wọ́n bá sọ pé wọ́n fẹ́ dá iléèwé Marita àbí wọ́n fẹ́ dá naval base sílẹ̀ ẹjọ́ ìlú bo ló yẹ kó wà o ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń wò mí níbo ni wọ́n rò pé ó yẹ kó wà n tó bá jọmọ́ marita tó jọmọ́ omi tàbó jọmọ́ naval base ọmọ ogun ojú omi nílùú Nàìjíríà yìí tí wọ́n bá náà fẹ́ dá base wọn sílẹ̀ níbo ló yẹ kó wà ìlú méjì ni tí ò bá sí ní Port Harcourt ó yẹ kó wà ní Lagos State torí àwọn bíi méjèèjì yìí alagbalúgbú omi lágbàsà wà ọ̀dọ̀ wọn dẹ̀ ní ship fúngbà gbogbo gbà kò sí bí méjì tó yẹ kí naval base wà ní Nàìjíríà yìí tó ju ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn méjèèjì yìí lọ ṣàdédé kọ́ la gbọ́ lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta yìí wípé wọ́n dá naval base sílẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà o wọ́n gbé lọ Kánò ká lè mọ ọ̀tẹ̀ tó wà nílùú Nàìjíríà tàwa yìí ká lè mọ ìkórìíra tíjọba yìí ní fún Yorùbá gbogbo tó jọ mọ́ ológun ilẹ̀ Haúsá ni wọ́n kó lọ mi ò parọ́ òdodo gidi kódà mo ní fídíò ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ máa ṣe ìfẹ́ ká wo fídíò yẹn mò ń bọ̀ máa gbé fún wa tí wọ́n dá naval base wọ́n fẹ́ gbogbo naval base ibi tó jẹ́ kọta wọ́n fẹ́ gbé lọ Kánò báyìí kódà wọ́n ti túlẹ̀ fún wọn wọ́n ti approve ẹ̀ àwa tá ń kígbe one nation gbogbo àwọn tẹ́rí tá a ka orúkọ wọn ìpátá àwọn wọn àti lu síjọba lọ́wọ́ wọn ò ráyè wọn rẹ́dì ní láti lọ arrest àwọn ẹni mọ̀gbà tí United Arab Emirates pariwo wípé nílùú àwọn àìmọye ọmọ Nàìjíríà ló jẹ́ sponsor Boko Haram àìmọye ọmọ ìlú àwọn náà tó jẹ́ sponsor Boko Haram wọ́n dẹ̀ rí arrest inú wọn àrígbà tí wọ́n prosecute wọn àwọn yẹn wà lẹ́wọ̀n lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ bá àwọn tí wọ́n rí mú wọ́n tó wá dárúkọ wípé àwọn kan wà tí wọ́n ní exchange bureau de change wípé wọ́n ní lọ́dọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n ń fi owó ránṣẹ́ sáwọn bureau de change Nàìjíríà bí tí wọ́n tọ́jọ́ ń papọ̀ kódà wọ́n sọ débi pé nínú ìjọba tó wà lóde yìí àwọn tí wọ́n sponsor Boko Haram wà nù wọn kí ni ìjọba yìí ṣe sí kò sí nǹkan kan wọ́n kọ tí ọ̀gbọ̀n yìí sí bí ẹni pé kò sí nǹkan kan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ páwọn ò tiẹ̀ gbọ́rọ̀ yẹn torí pé dèní àti ìrí kan ṣe nǹkan kan sí Boko Haram kan ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ní tá a tún gbọ́ ni pé wọ́n dáríjì Boko Haram ẹ wá ní kí wọ́n má gbéyàn pa ẹ wá ní kí wọ́n má gba ransom tó bá jẹ́rọ́ ni mo pa ìwọ wo fídíò yìí mò ń bọ̀.
The government taking going to great lengths to sort of douse that kind of talk, they fan those flames by this kind of incomprehensible move, quite frankly. We do need an explanation. It makes absolutely no sense.
Dr. Bati, your comment?
Well, this again is the Nigerian story. It's not something that is new. You recall as part of the struggle of the people of the Niger Delta, they were complaining at a point, the people of the Niger Delta, that the headquarters of the international oil companies should not be in Lagos, that those headquarters should be located in the Niger Delta, where the primary material that is the main business is located. And that went on for many years. We can give another example of, when the Ministry of Transport decided to locate the Federal University of Transportation in Daura, in Katsina State, in the hometown of the president. People were wondering, they were saying, look, why go and put the University of Transportation in Daura? I mean, what kind of transportation are they going to teach there? Travel on the back of camels or what? Now you have this is yet another instance. It's a long list that we can cite. People are now saying, why a naval base in the desert? When there is the ocean is right here in the south. But there are persons in the north who can tell you that there are rivers also in the north and all that. But what is the draft level, of those rivers? Do they justify the establishment of a naval base there? But the chief of naval staff, who was, in Kano for an annual naval conference, was quite enthusiastic that the state governor had allocated land for this purpose. And indeed, as we speak, an acting commander of the naval base to be situated in Kaduna, in Kano, has already been appointed. And we are told that this commander of the base will immediately form part of the security council of the government of Kano State. The only justification that I see that they can put forward is that, this is yet in line with the principle of federal character in the Constitution, that government assets should be, and infrastructure should be distributed across the country. Well, you can put up that argument, but there are certain things that do not make sense. Another base in the desert. It's only in Nigeria that I think that is possible.
Absolutely.
But Nigeria never fails to surprise you. Or rather, our leaders never fail to surprise us.
Before I take your comment, we'll take our final story so you can comment on both. In Katsina State, some Nigerians have thrown the governor of the state, Aminu Masari, under the bus after he signed an error-filled executive order. The executive order, which came into effect on Tuesday, was issued as part of efforts to address the security challenges in the state. In the executive order, the first blunder was the subject matter of the order, the title, which read, Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1991, when in actual fact, the Federal Republic of Nigeria is governed by the 1999 Constitution. The executive order contained other blunders, including the spelling of Nigeria, which was written below the governor's signature as Nigeria. While many Nigerians have shared reactions, Rufai, I would love your comment on this particular subject before you talk about the naval issue.
I'm sure the guy that wrote the paper wrote Nigeria, as they will call it, Nigeria.
I couldn't even pronounce it. How do you say it?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay, good.
You see, incompetence is just everywhere. This is another brighter grammar moment. Incompetence is just everywhere, and there's nobody to double check it. If a common government dossier cannot be checked properly from errors, then what can be checked properly in this country? You are amazed at the level of incompetence, and we've become a gift that keeps giving every single time. We can't write a paper correctly, and we want to solve an insecurity problem. And that's why we do things that we can't even account for. Good point you were talking about, Tundu, about naval bases in England. I had the chance of being in one in Plymouth. Plymouth is like an ocean, big body of water. That's where you have naval bases. But here, we didn't see the Niger Delta. There's a naval base in Sapele, close to the water. It's just very close to where the power station is in Sapele. I've been to that one too. You didn't see all the body of water in Bayelsa. You now take it all the way to the north. And when the people of the Niger Delta are complaining that they are marginalized, you say, how are they marginalized? So we'll go and dig up water in Kano now to form naval base all of a sudden? Or it's going to be built close to Riverana, or what is it? You see places in the Niger Delta to site naval base, you can't site it there.
I mean,
it's
really?
all the way to, just like it never made sense to me why a refinery was built in Kaduna and we had to transport crude up there to refine.
Bunkers.
Federal character.
Federal character.
Yeah,
what is this characterization of federal madness we are doing in this country?
That's what we call it.
I mean, I don't get it. We're not, you know the cost we use to transport crude all the way.
Right.
Please, you see, let us not divide this country even further. Let us do what is right. Let us do what is befitting, because we forget that every day we are living our lives to leave legacies.
Right.
And power is transient. You will come, you will go someday. The question is, what have you done behind? Please, put a naval base where it has to be.
All right.
You can get a lot of good officers out of Bayelsa and some other areas in the southwest, in the south. Put them in place. I'm waiting to see Pandet's reaction to this, because they will talk definitely.
Dr. Vati, I'd love your reaction to the executive order issued by the governor of Katsina State.
Well, this is supposed to be an executive order on the security situation in Katsina State. And some of the things that executive order is talking about, they seem to be important. The imposition of curfew, the restriction of movement, recommendations about markets, when they should open, when they should not open, and also some talk about restriction on the transportation of cattle out of Katsina State. So in terms of the spirit, you see an attempt on the part of the governor to deal with the urgent situation in Katsina State. And that's Katsina State, the state of the president of Nigeria. And they are also,
Correct.
They have very serious security problems. Now, what is very scandalous is the delivery of that executive order via the vehicle of a badly written document. And although we may blame the civil servants, but I would like to hold the governor Aminu Bello Masari himself responsible. This is a man who has been in government for the better part of his life. He started by being a commissioner in Katsina State, and he later, ended up as a member of parliament, and he was also speaker of the House of Representatives. The rule is that when you are given a document, even if it is drafted for you, you have to read it first. Didn't the governor read the document?
I'm not sure.
A man who was a former, speaker of the House of Representatives. The thing is even titled Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1991. As amended. The operative constitution in Nigeria, a former speaker of the House of Representatives should be able to know that. He should be able to see it. The operative constitution is the 1999 constitution as amended. And then the same document is riddled with all kinds of grammatical infelicities, bad spellings. So many. Jerry Cans is spelled wrongly. Even Nigeria is wrongly spelled. What kind of system do they run in Katsina State? That they cannot write simple English.
I'm wondering myself, somebody who was a commissioner and who was a speaker should really know better. And it's his signature on the dotted line. Yes. The buck stops with him.
Absolutely. I was just appalled. I was shocked when I saw that. Well, I'm sorry I cannot talk too much because I've lost my voice. I'll try to rest this weekend. That's all I have for you guys. On What's Trending today. You guys have a great weekend.
I'm sure your voice will be fine by Monday.
I hope so.
So that it will remain as sonorous as ever.
Thank you, Dr. Abati.
Thank you, Juneka.
Káàbọ̀ padà, ṣé ti ráṣìírí tó tú? NAFA base to be relocated to Kano. Ẹjọ́ ṣó mi ní Kano ní ẹ kúkú gbọ́ nǹkan táwọn analyst sọ. Ìbéèrè tí wọ́n sì bí wọ́n yìí. Èmi náà rò bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́mìí mi. Ṣé omi ní ká sọ pé Kánò ní ọ̀sà ni wọ́n ní àbókun tí NAFA base fi máa lọ wà nílẹ̀ Haúsá ní ìlú tó jẹ́ pé kìdá desert ni igbó kìjìkìjì ni abẹ́ iyẹ̀pẹ̀ lásán. Bóyá nu yẹ̀pẹ̀ dẹ̀ ní ṣípù tó ń rìn ní ìsìn àlè sọ torí kò yé èmi. Ó yà mí lẹ́nu ntàrí nìyẹn. Àwa mú káwí tán wọ́n wá sọ pé àwọn governors wọ́n ban open grazing, àwọn kan wá ń gbé mú kiri pé láyé ànígbà bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe yóò fi. Mínísítà kan wà Adamu, gbogbo àná la mọ̀ sẹ́nétọ̀ ní tẹ́lẹ̀ la ṣe ń pè ní sẹ́nétọ̀ Adamu. Ó sọ òun náà fìbínú sọ̀rọ̀ lórí open grazing tí àwọn governors tí wọ́n bá. Mo wo fídíò yẹn mo rẹ́rìn. Àìsí ilé ológin nílé dílé èkúté tí àyè bá gba tápàtàn á kọ́lé ìgbónú. Ṣé tí ẹ̀rù bá pẹ́ lé alájọbí ló máa ń bú. Ó ló fà á tí gbogbo tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ìfi ṣẹlẹ̀. Àwọn gómìnà ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àti ilẹ̀ Ìgbò gbogbo South wọ́n parapọ̀ wọ́n pàṣẹ. Individual kan wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní sọ̀rọ̀ bó ṣe wù. Àwọn mìíyẹ́ tí a láti sọ tí wọ́n kọjá. Sẹ́nétọ̀ Adamu náà fẹ́ ìhónú tí ẹ̀ hàn lórí pé wọ́n bá ní open grazing. Kí ló wí náà? Mo ń padà bọ̀.
Market, open mind, not empty mind. With enthusiasm. We work with you here. I've been here for the last 10 years. I'm in my 11th year in the National Assembly. And you have been, to say the least, partners in the success or failures, if any, of the National Assembly. As the fourth estate, you occupy a very strategic position in the affairs of any country, in the art of governance. And I therefore respond to this, your invitation, in that spirit. But those of you who are familiar with me, if it's a weakness, it's my weakness. I will take it. If you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer. That's the deal. And that's the rule of engagement. So try as much as possible to show the ethics, the etiquette of the fourth estate. And I'll owe you a fundamental duty to respond to you in that same spirit. That is the rule of engagement. I hope I'm clear. I hope I'm very clear on that. Thank you very much. Now, responding to the first question. Yes, you are absolutely right. When I read about the meeting of the southern governors on the issue of open grazing and how they kicked against it and threatened to make laws, I responded to them in a manner like you recalled. I wasn't happy with it. And I believe as governors, as members of the executive, operating only at a different tier of government than the federal government, they have a constitutional responsibility, the constitution to which they swore when they are taking oath of office. One of the fundamental provisions there is the fact that every Nigerian, every Nigerian, no exception, has a right of free movement. Every Nigerian has a right of pursuing his legitimate business without hindrance. Right of association, like we're doing now with you, is enshrined in the Constitution. You cannot, under any pretense, take that authority from the person. I don't know of any situation in which government says, yes, you can take this right from the individual. So one day I came up with this, I was wondering, first and foremost, before their meeting, a week earlier than the date of that meeting, they had met here, the governors had met here in Abuja. And there was no such pronouncement from them. I was taken aback when I read about their meeting in Asaba, threatening, the issues that they raised. I still stand by that. The fact that a governor or two in the north have said something similar does not take away the right of the herdsman. The question here is, nature abhors vacuum. You can't put something on nothing. The duty to protect the herdsman and the farmer rests squarely on the table of the national government, the state government, and the local government administration. The question to ask is, have the government done what it is supposed to do to protect the Nigerians who are in that calling, in that profession, in that trade? I would say no. My answer is no. And you cannot blame a person who is desperate, who is looking for a means of livelihood, from going to pursue legitimate goals. However, this does not excuse anybody in the course of exercising his right doing harm to somebody else's right. I must be very clear on this. A farmer has right to farm. If you dare take your cattle or animals or whatever you're calling and you run into his farm and do him damage, he has a right to claim. And he can claim the cost of law. That is the law as I understand it. So it doesn't matter. If all the northern governors will echo the same pronouncement that the southern governors did, that does not shake my fundamental position on this. Government owes these herdsmen a duty to protect their calling. And I dare repeat that if you go to Wuse Market here, or any of the big markets in Abuja, you will see how people how federal government has provided Abuja municipal councils and the Federal Ministry of, what do you call it? Of the FCT, Federal Capital Territory. How many or how much infrastructure investment is there? You have corner shops all over the place. You go into the market, the roads are tarred, there's electricity, there's water supply, there are conveniences for toilets. These are for Nigerians. These herdsmen are Nigerians. The government has the same duty that they owe these businessmen in Lagos, in Market, in Alaba, in Onitsha, in Kano, wherever. They owe that duty to the herdsman too, because he's a Nigerian. And these provisions are from public funds. They are from the private pocket of any governor or president or senator. They are monies from the treasury of this country. And every Nigerian has a stake in that treasury. So the government has a duty to find a wherewithal to make it possible or impossible for the herdsman to go astray in the course of his legitimate living. Where, of course, he does go astray and offend some other Nigerian, he has cause to the law of the land.
Second, no. I already have the last question. Distinguished sir, as a rider to the question.
You keep riding, I don't ride them.
I'm Taye Odewale, I have a blueprint. As a rider to the question.
Blueprint?
Yes, blueprint. My colleague first asked. What about modernization? Yes, you have said it that constitution all Nigerians, free movement and legitimate business. But this idea of moving cattle from one place to the other, in another part of the world, I think another system, all ranching, have been adopted. What is your take on that? And my own question now, in 2 weeks' time, sir, Nigeria will be 61 years old. As an elder statesman, who has seen it all, and then I say who has seen it all, what I mean is that.
No, I probably have seen more than you have, but I've not seen it all.
Okay, you have seen more than me.
Yeah.
You are an adult when the country got independence. And to the glory of God.
The first leg of your question is to do with modernization. Yes, you have to distinguish between corporate modernization effort, government modernization effort, and the individual's modernization effort. No matter how modern a herdsman's thinking is, he cannot build the kind of roads that will ensure safety of the passage with his animals without doing harm to the farmer. No matter how developed we want to be, we must develop along the lines of due process. The question that one asks is this: you talk about modernization. Yes. For heaven's sake, is it the fault of the herdsman that until today, the 21st century, he is left at the mercy of moving his cattle the only way he has now, through routes in the bush till today? While in the modern world you're talking about, I have seen it, there are trucks that they convey animals with. On the truck, there's water supply in it. They have water. In the truck, that's where they can feed in trough, in the carrier. Okay? And where there's waste, there's somebody in the truck that would push until they get to a point where they can empty it from the vehicle. Do we have that? If we do have in this country, how many do you know? Have you seen? So the fact remains that you cannot punish any calling, trade calling, any means of economic pursuit. You cannot rest the evil on the poor Nigerian. You rest in the laps of the government. The government has a duty. And I've said so time and time and again, and I repeat here, the duty is that of the governor. But somehow, that of the government, sorry, somehow we have misdirected our political thinking and our political activism. We have refused, through unnecessary parochialism, we have refused to differentiate between genuine problems this country faces and face the problems and solve them collectively with the direction of the government. Rather than do so, no, we're looking for fault lines. We're looking for fault lines only. This is a national problem. We have to put our heads together and see how best government can fund whatever there is, whatever means there is, that we can modernize the things that we call problems today, and when there's operations, we minimize problems of, we can minimize the happenings, the incidents that accrue as a result of the inefficiencies or insufficiencies in the infrastructure development for the various economic callings. You see, at the risk of ringing the bell of what do you call it, deliberate misunderstanding, if you can protect a spare part dealer, yes, if you can protect a spare parts dealer, why can't you protect a husband? If banks, private banks, would be rescued, government will come with public funds through a central bank or whatever to rescue failing banks. With public, central government money is government money. So your money is my money. Why do that? I cannot do that to rescue the husband from the problem he has to do. There are some questions we need to ask ourselves. When I was growing, they said to me, when you look at somebody and say, yeah, you be shaky. You see that? You be shaky. Only one finger is pointing at you, maybe two. The three are pointing at me. So there's nothing wrong with modernization. I am all for it. But that is to add voice to the hues and cries already on the floor for government to address the issue of herdsmen. Last month or so, I was involved, I got to a program in my state, in a political way, in Bauri, where this livestock development effort started. There are 4 states who have indicated willingness to queue in, and through the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, federal government will do everything possible in that, and the state government is collaborating. Often, we see the herdsman's problem as Buhari's problem, as federal government problem. It is not entirely that of the federal government. Federal government has a lead role to show, can pilot, but every tier of government has a duty. The state governor has funds from the common, what do you call it, what do you call it, revenue mobilization. They have the share. That's part of that share that's given to the state is take care of some of these problems. They have their responsibilities. Agriculture is somehow in the concurrent. It is the list. The state government has duty. Even local governments have duty. So you don't just rest it on the federal government. I take that, I accept that only to the extent the federal government will show the way. Will show the way. Modernization is necessary. Nobody will say anything against it. But let us not just pile the whole blame and throw it on one tier of government. Your second question is on the independence. Well, let's congratulate ourselves that we are alive, and all of us here have got callings. Nobody here is an applicant, I'm sure. And we are happy, we are grateful to Almighty God that we are among the Nigerians who are living. Some of us are 6 foot down between the independent period and now. So those of us who are alive, we must be grateful to Allah for sparing our lives and to ensuring for us that we enjoy some good health, for us to sit and have this exchange, between me and your good selves. On the issue of the journey so far, yes, I would say, so far, so good. So far, so good. If you can't run away from one thing, yes, we have had governments. That's why it's the critical minds amongst us here would say, oh yes, it's just the government. No. Good governance, yes. Government provides leadership. Government sets the trail. And every one of us here has a duty to ensure that good governance works. I'll give you one little example. What do you do as a Nigerian, an adult, a journalist, a senior media man for that matter, when you are driving and you see somebody breaking traffic law? You just smile and look the other way. You want Buhari to come and make sure he doesn't do it? Every Nigerian is a law officer of some sort. You see a wrong, you stop it. You see somebody going on the verge of being corrupt, you owe a duty to you, to your fellow Nigerian, to ensure that that stops. It's not a struggle for the head of state, the president, to pursue alone. If you find projects in your constituency, your local government, your state, and for years it's not being completed, you have a duty to call attention of government, whether state government or local government, so that your voice will go to the appropriate quarter, and that gets attention. But everybody sees government business as nobody's business. When there is failure staring us in the eye, then the ones with guts will raise their voice to criticize government. I said very, very selectively, or very, very deliberately, carefully, that yes, we've made meaningful progress. I'm privileged to say this because I was already, in 1960, I was an adult. I celebrated my 75th birthday on the 23rd of July. And if I go by the Islamic calendar, I am not 75, I'll be 77 plus some months. So I have seen from Independence Day, I have already in school, I was already in secondary school. I can read, I could read, I could write, I could comprehend. I think we sometimes turn our backs at the areas of progress we made in this country. We tend to emphasize and talk only about the negativities in our journey. Every country has had trying moments. But if I may just give you little examples for you just to take a look at. Even at your own age, the average age here, I would say, let's say 30. The girl should forgive me, please, for saying 30. I say average, average, 30. Any one of you at the age of 30, if he's familiar with his state, can count areas where there have been progress. Those of you who are up to 50 will also count, probably they will have more to see and more to count. And those who are in my age group, you ditto. All right? The thing is, I'll ask you, how many airports were there in Nigeria in 1960? Airports. Domestic airports. How many international airports were there in Nigeria in 1960? How many seaports were there in Nigeria in 1960? How many are there now? How many universities are there in Nigeria in 1960? How many do we have now? How many polytechnics do we have? How many colleges of education do we have in 1960? How many do we now have? How many hospitals, general hospitals, did we have in 1960? How many special, what do you call them? Specialist hospitals did we have in 1960? How many do we have now? Go down. How many secondary schools were in your state? What is now your state? In 1960, how many secondary schools do you have? How many do you have now? How many trunk A roads? Trunk A roads do we have in 1960? How many do we have now? How do you measure progress? Do you measure progress by just the banditry or by Bokoharam occurrences in Nigeria? We have a way of always comparing ourselves with some other places. Yes, it's a natural phenomenon. We all tend to do so. But the fact remains, Nigeria is not Ghana. Nigeria is not Sierra Leone. Nigeria is not Central African Republic. Nigeria is Nigeria. We have a population of not less than 200 million people. No African country that I know has that population to feed. Yes, we failed here and there in terms of managing things and the rest of it, even at government level. I admit this. I admit this. But let us not aggregate those samples here and there of what you can see as measurable failure as a failure of the whole country. No country, no matter how civilized, no matter how good the economy is, has no failings. See what's happening in America. They are a democracy. Are more democratic than they are? Are more civilized than they are? The education is their own education. The culture is their own culture. We still see cracks of failure. Till today, how many years after the abolition of slave trade to bring humanity to equality, people are still talking of somebody being black, somebody being white? Is it in this country? Why don't we see those things? Why don't we point at them so that they can see also people like you in your generation? You've seen failures on their side too. Every time that's accusing finger of failure is to us. We are not being fair to ourselves. And this failure, look, I've celebrated 75, and in the Islamic balance, I'm 77 plus now. Okay? My hope is that my children, and I have children, will have a future in Nigeria. That's my hope. And when I hope that for my children, I have the same hope for you. For you. My hope is I will leave this world for my younger ones, my children. Just as I feel the same way for you. So I feel a sense of responsibility and duty to talk to government in a manner that government will understand me as a friend of government, not as an enemy of government. When we start shouting on rooftops, hey. Some of the people with the strongest voices criticizing government, we tried them. They failed. They failed. Some of them were giving chief executives to some organizations in this country. They opened the accounts of those organizations in their own personal accounts. Those of you are old enough. If you doubt that, I'll tell you the name. I don't want to put you people in a crisis, but we have them. And they are the staunchest critics of government. So please, let us abandon this part of we are a failure. We are not a failure. Nigeria is not a failure. This government has not failed. When you see a system that cannot nib a crisis at formative period, then the chances are everyone that comes along the line, the generation, will inherit it. If a family, head of a family, father and mother have leprosy, and they didn't treat the leprosy, then you come as the person next in the estate, the chances are you will suffer the same medical problem. The same way. No Nigerian problem started with this government, with the Buhari administration. Not one of them started during this time. Maybe as we move on, the problem has become more and more pronounced than before. I cannot deny that. There's more banditry today than there was at independence. There has been more problems with the Bokoharam over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years than there ever was at independence. But I first heard of Bokoharam way back about 1980-81 when I was secretary of MPN. I went to Kano. I remember they had to raise a special military force to go and dislodge them in Kano. They happened in Maiduguri. They happened in Bolongutu. Bolongutu or something like that. If you are old enough, they're in your papers. So there's nothing today that is new. There are only new occurrences. Maybe they were overwhelmed with fire, they went underground, they've resurfaced. All right? We used to read terrorism before, or see it in television like a joke. We are with it now. It didn't start here. And it may not end here. Okay, let's tighten our seatbelts and face the reality of our situation, our age. I hope I've answered your second question.
Senator Adamu, ó lá àtijọ́ ń gbé ti pé a sọ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́. Lóòótọ́ ló jẹ́ pé a ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ jọ ń gbé pẹ̀lú Fulani. Èmi náà máa ń béèrè pé kì í ṣe Fulani tá a jọ ń gbé tẹ́lẹ̀ rí ni. Ó ṣe wá dìsìn tí wọ́n wá dẹni tí a lè rìn ká dijú wa méjèèjì mọ́. Bó o bá wọ mọ́tò, wàá máa wò lọ́tùn lósì ni. Bó o bá fẹ́ wa mọ́tò lọ́bì kan, ó di kó o máa bẹ lọ́hùn special. Kódà ńgbà mi a máa gba àwẹ̀ pàápàá. Pétò ọlọ́mọdé àpàdé àwọn arúgbó tá a sọ yìí. Former senator, ó ní wọ́n gbé nọ́mbèrè 200 million. Wọ́n gbé major, wọ́n lọ gbé báràkì wọn, ó wà lọ́wọ́ wọn dìsìn. Bákú báyè nìyẹn wà, àmọ́ ibi tán korí ẹjọ́ yẹn bọ̀. Ìlú náà dẹ̀ la wà tá à ń ṣe. Ṣùgbọ́n kò sí tó ẹlẹ́hun léhùn kó sọ ọ́. Láìpẹ́ yìí l'Ondo State, ní Ìrè Èkìtì àti ní Àkúrẹ́. Ní ibi méjèèjì yìí ní àwọn ikọ̀ Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn àtàwọn ikọ̀ tí ìjọba Ondo State dá síta ni wọ́n mú àwọn Fúlàní lẹ́yìn tí wọ́n ti ṣe òfin wípé kò sí àyè kẹ́nikẹ́ni da ẹran káàkiri. Wọ́n arrest 56 cows. Wọ́n dẹ̀ mú Fúlàní 3 tó dáa. Ṣé ẹlẹ́ẹ̀ni gbọ́ràn ni ọwọ́ báyìí? L'Ondo State, àwọn ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀. Wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ l'Ékòó, Ogun State náà ti follow suit, àtàwọn state míì náà bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ kọ́kùnrin tàtọ̀rìn kóbìnrin tàtọ̀rìn káwo ta ní olómi lẹ́yìn ẹsẹ̀ jura wọn lọ. Ṣé báwọn náà ní state wọn? They are the state governors. Ọba sì ló nílẹ̀, governors ló nílẹ̀. The land belongs to the government láti ń gbọ́rí. Bí Fúlàní ṣe máa lóhun lò nílẹ̀ jájọ máa wò. 56 mẹ́rìndínlọ́gọ́ta màálù òní wọ́n kó, wọ́n dẹ̀ kó Fúlàní 3 sí. Bí wọ́n máa ṣẹ̀wọ̀n, ìkànnù kan ṣẹ̀wọ̀n tàbí kí wọ́n fún wọn ní fáìn kan wá sọ fún wọn pé ó yá ìlú yíyá. Mi ò dẹ̀ ṣàdúrà kan fún àwọn màálù yẹn lẹ̀ fún wọn. Òfin lòfin jẹ́ ẹ kárídàrí gọ́fúnà Akérédolú. Ó ti fọmọkùnrin hàn. Mò ń bọ̀ náà.
Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu had last week signed the anti-open grazing bill into law, a week after the law has become operational and the first set of culprits have been arrested by Motekun operatives. The long hand of the law caught up with some others in Ikare Akoko after the cattle openly graze on another person's farmland. Over 50 cows were seized by the Motekun operatives for flouting the law.
Cows were kept.
The Amotekun commander says it is no longer business as usual.
The anti-grazing law has fully taken off in Ondo State, and we are going to enforce it to the letter. No, it's not business as usual for them. For peaceful coexistence with farmers and the government. And the only way they could relate at that level is to comply with the provisions of the anti-grazing law, period.
Members of the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association and the Hausa community are in support of the government action, but pleaded for more time to educate their members.
I go support government action now. I did together. I did work for government together. Take another dimension, not the way it used to be before. So each and every one of them should be very, very careful not to destroy people's property again.
The culprits were asked to pay fines, and the matter was settled out of court.
To release the cows back to the owners. They've paid the fine, and they are going to write an undertaking that they will not violate the anti-grazing law of Ondo State again. That's our position.
That's
you will not spoil people's farm.
We will not destroy people's farm. We will try and manage those that even go with the cows.
It is no longer business as usual for others who flout the state government anti-open grazing law, as the government insists that the law has come to stay.
Àwọn apanirun lẹ̀ ń wò yẹn, àwọn jẹgúdújẹrá, ẹ jẹ́ káwọn náà lọ jẹ̀wà wọn díẹ̀. Ní ìgbà kan tá bá gbàgbé, àwọn ọmọkùnrin kan wọ́n tó bí 3 sí 4 nílùú Kogi State. Èmi náà mo gbé fídíò yẹn wá. A ti máa lọ bí oṣù kan sẹ́yìn nísìn. Àwọn ọmọkùnrin wọ́n lẹ pósítà kan kiri ní Kogi State. Wọ́n kọ Buhari must go sí inú pósítà yìí. Tẹ́ bá gbàgbé, àwọn èèyàn mú wọn, wọ́n nà wọ́n bí máa kú máa yè. Wọ́n tún wá fà wọ́n lé DSS lọ́wọ́. Mo rò pé yẹ ká rántí, mi ò ní fídíò yẹn mọ́ lọ́wọ́ nípa gbé wá ká ó lè ràn wá létí. Àwọn ẹni ló dín 30 ọjọ́ lọ́dọ̀ DSS. Ṣùgbọ́n lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí, Ọlọ́run ṣeun, DSS ti tú wọn lẹ̀. Ohun tójú wọn rí ò ṣe sọ. Ohun tójú wọn rí lọ́gbà DSS kò ṣe fẹnu sọ. Mo wá fẹ́ ká lọ gbọ́ experience wọn, ṣùgbọ́n mo ṣe ládùúrà pé lágbára Ọlọ́run. Bá ti ṣe gbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu Lady K níjọ́ kan náà rí nígbà tí wọ́n bá fi sílẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ògo Ọlọ́run. Ẹ jẹ́ á gbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu ọmọkùnrin ká gbọ́ kí lójú ẹ̀ rí nínú ọgbà DSS. Mo ń bọ̀.
There were several times I broke down in front of the investigators and I was like, I want the madness to end, I want the pain to end. And I could literally see myself hoping that it would just end immediately. My name is Anine Victor Doka. You can also call me the Revolution Prophet. 2 experiences. Prior to this time, I was very, very emotional talking about the Kogi experience. But the dynamics experience was significant in a way because on the 4th of August marked 3 months exactly we had survived the Togri attack in Kogi State. So, talking about those experiences, it's something we all know. In Kogi, for example, you cannot breathe a different language from the generally accepted language and go scot-free. If you're not part of the ruling class, you have no right to say anything that is against the ruling class. There are a lot of persons who have suffered disappearance, if I may put it that way, because they spoke out against the ruling class. So, Kogi was something that took us unaware. It was something that took us by storm, because we went there innocently to spread an ideology that I've believed in for about a very long time. And before you know what was happening, we were in the mouth of a perceived lion, as they want to call it. So Having survived 78 days in Kogi State, back in Abuja on the 4th of August, which marked exactly 3 months we had survived the Kogi experience, we decided to go to church to worship God, and again our intentions were misread, and we suffered a new fate in DSS detention for 30 days. 30 days of traumatic pain, as I would want to call it. There were several times I broke down in front of the investigators, and I was like, I want the madness to end, I want the pain to end. And I could literally see myself hoping that it would just end immediately. Well, as fate we have it, that traumatic experience lasted for 30 days. Did I expect it to happen? I expected something similar to happen, but not that bad. I expected constructive objection. I expected constructive argument. In as much as I have my right to believe in an ideology, you have your right to oppose it. So I expected to be engaged constructively, like, why do you want Buhari to go, or what does Buhari must go mean to you? But instead of getting that, I got bullied. And that's why I say the two experiences are similar, because I got bullied by people who feel that they will not be held accountable. We've heard scenarios, we've heard cases of unknown gunmen in our country. We've heard cases of, in that same Kogi, pulling your memory back, it's that same Kogi that a woman was burnt alive and the video went viral. Nobody said anything, nobody did anything about it. So those perpetrators of that act of on the 4th, 5th of April in Kogi State were so confident in themselves that one of them said, while pointing a gun at us, that I'll kill you guys and throw you into the river and nothing will happen. With so much temerity, such infantry, he's so confident in himself that he believes what he's saying. You know, if you look to somebody's eyes, you know when the person believes what he's saying. And in the same light, a DSS official, the same day we were supposed to be released, the same day we left DSS, brought us out in the morning and dehumanized us and said the same thing the thug who is an unprofessional said is the same thing a DSS high-ranking officer said, that he will flog us and nothing will happen, that if we like we should go out and carry papers, and said he dehumanized us, that nothing will happen to him. He believes what he has said, that nothing will happen to him, and he's still walking free today. Nothing has happened to him. But I tell you of a truth that we will get justice for these two scenarios. That's one thing I believe. So Kogi was so dehumanizing, and that's why I've stayed away from the topic for a while. Maybe I'm a bit loose now. That's why I'm talking about it this freely with you. It's something you don't wish it for your enemy. You don't wish that kind of experience. You saw it there, chewing paper in live TV. You get, and stripping you naked. I eventually had to use that poster to cover my boxers. You get, so there's nothing worse than that. I was not in a Big Brother show where I could be at liberty to do that for fan base. I did that non-willingly, not because I wanted to, but because some persons felt because I have a different ideology, I had to suffer for that ideology that I have. Not wanting to know the motive behind the ideology. But having that different ideology is a crime. First and foremost, I do not believe we have a security agency. I'm a movie freak. And if I say I'm a movie freak, there are movies, American movies you see, that portrays, American movies most likely portrays their culture, their way of life, their security architectures, how they do things. You understand? I do not believe that we have a security agency in this country. I believe what we have is a bunch of thugs. That's why I related the two of them to you. The thug in Kogi State told me vehemently that I will kill you and nothing will happen. The high-ranking DSS official said, I will dehumanize you, I will continue dehumanizing you, and nothing would happen. Two different scenarios, two different persons. They're working freely. They've not been held accountable. Do you understand? So it's no news that DSS keep people or just kidnap people unconstitutionally. One of the Dynamics 5 was saying he would like to date a DSS lady, and I was like, except you want to be kidnapped every morning. Because the moment you make her hungry, she could just order for your kidnap, so to put. So it is wrong for us to live in a country where we do not have freedom of thought. I'm not going to the level of expression now, because that's where we are heading to. To get to a point and you so much as think of it, and somebody gets wind of it, you're gone. You get, DSS could just walk up on the street and pick anybody, when I mean anybody, and keep you without a lawyer, and keep you without a trial, and they would not budge. You heard the story. They would not budge. They feel they are above the law. The average, I tell you of a truth today, the average DSS official out there feels he's above the law. Or maybe they are equating themselves to 007. Just get it done, no matter how you do it. Get it done. I wouldn't know, I was inside detention, but from videos I've watched, I saw him change his statement twice. In as much as that worries me, I try as much as I can not to meddle in religious issues. I'm a religious person, if I want to put it that way. Or you can call me a religious person. It's a very sensitive topic. A very sensitive topic in the sense that most people respect their pastors more than their fathers. So if you're attacking or you're saying something that is right about a pastor today, and somebody who sees that pastor as his father, that is more than his father at home, would feel insulted. So in as much as I'm dissatisfied with what transpired at Dynamics Church on the 4th of August, I'm dissatisfied at CAN that they've not taken any step to caution the Dynamics Church. I'm dissatisfied at most Nigerians who still give excuses for the pastor, even when you know that 2023 is around the corner, and that same pastor will host members of the ruling class. I think it's high time we look beyond this device that they've created for us, the religious, ethnic device that they've created for us, and face our oppressors head on. It's high time we look beyond this divide and see ourselves that we only have two sets of persons in this country, the oppressors and the oppressed. We are all oppressed citizens. We're being oppressed in the church. Don't ask me how. We're being oppressed by religious entities. Don't ask me how again. We're being oppressed by the ruling elite. We're being oppressed by our fellow oppressed citizens. So you can imagine how far the fight will go. Where do we start it from? We have to start by telling ourselves the truth. That there is nothing like he's Christian and Muslim. There's nothing like he's not from Kogi State. Just like one of the talks asked me, why did you leave your state to come to Kogi State? It's high time we see ourselves as Nigerians. I'm first Nigerian before being Delta. I'm first Nigerian. I am a Nigerian. Above every other thing. Whether I'm a businessman, whether I attend one church or the other, whether I'm a Muslim or Christian, there's one thing that unites us together. We are all Nigerians. And the sooner we realize this fact and move above our issues and come together as oppressed citizens of the country, we would not find an headway. What I expected people to ask me is, why did you say Buhari must go? No, why should you wear Buhari must go? No, why should you paste Buhari must go poster? No, why should you do Buhari must go graphics? We have different opinions, but we should be able to respect everybody's opinion equally. That's the way forward. That's the way forward.
Lágbára Ọlọ́run ọba Elédùmarè táwọn ò ní rí àrífẹsẹ̀sùn àní kó sọ́wọ́ wọn ò ní gbé wa wọn ò ní gbé ọmọ wa DSS ò ní gbé wa lágbára Ọlọ́run DSS ti sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ di ọlọ́pàá àjọba lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí àwọn kan ti ṣèjì orúkọ wọn ní Daura Security Services náà tó ń jẹ́ nísìn wọn ò jẹ́ Department of State Security wọ́n ní Daura Security Services Northern Jensen tó Ọlọ́run ayọ́nu sí wa tó ní orúkọ gbogbo crew members Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ TV mo fẹ́ fi àsìkò yìí bá ìyá wa Bímbọ́ Ọ̀ṣìn ẹni tó jẹ́ ìyàwó Ọlá Ibrahim tí a mọ̀ sí Dúdú Heritage mo fẹ́ fi àsìkò yìí bá wọn kẹ́dùn o ní orúkọ gbogbo crew members Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ TV àfi bá wọn kẹ́dùn tó ṣé àwáyé kú òsì Yorùbá ní má fi kú yọ̀ mí torí gbogbo wa là ń lọ ẹ jẹ́ ká wo tribute táwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n lọ kí Dúdú Heritage nígbà tó jáde láyé ẹ jẹ́ á wo fídíò ilé wọn bí àwọn èèyàn ti pé bíbà síbẹ̀ láti lọ bá wọn kẹ́dùn mú padà bọ̀.
gbogbo olólùfẹ́ BBC News Yorùbá tó láǹfààní láti máa wo fọ́nrán yìí lọ́wọ́ yìí a wà nílé olóògbé Ọlá Ìbírónkẹ́ tí gbogbo ènìyàn mọ̀ sí Dúdú Heritage tí ẹ̀yin náà gbọ́rọ̀ yìí mọ̀ pé wọ́n jáde láyé ní àná òde yìí níbi tí ẹbí ará ọ̀rẹ́ àtọ́júlùmọ̀ ti péjú pésẹ̀ láti wá bá wọn kẹ́dùn láwà ní agbègbè Bódìjà nílùú Ìbàdàn àwọn báwọn ènìyàn tó wá kẹ́dùn lọ́rọ̀ lórí olóògbé àtàwọn òṣèré ẹbí tààrà àtọ̀rẹ́ ló péjọ láti wá bá wọn kẹ́dùn ní agbègbè Bódìjà nílùú Ìbàdàn. Àṣẹ kúrò lè máa. Ẹ kọ́kọ́ gba àti mọ́ ìwọ́n náà.
Please keep your camera down. Please keep your camera down. By recording. At the ground, see 4 people to talk to you.
All right. Let me know when it's time. Okay. A fẹ́ bá ọ̀kan lára àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ olóògbé Ọlá Ìbírónkẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ ní agbègbè Bódìjà nílé wọn wà nílùú Ìbàdàn. Ẹ kúrò lẹ́sà. Ẹ kúrò lẹ́sà. Ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́ a kú ọ̀rọ̀ èèyàn sá àti BBC Yorùbá láti wá sá. A sì fẹ́ bá yín lọ́rọ̀ láàrin ìṣẹ́jú díẹ̀ tí ó bá rọrùn sá. Ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn èèyàn ẹni tí à ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ sá.
Ọládàpọ̀ ní kí n continue sọ ní Yorùbá bó ṣe ṣẹlẹ̀ BBC Yorùbá ni bó ṣe ṣẹlẹ̀. Orúkọ mi Ọládàpọ̀ Ọláìdé.
Ẹ má wá bí ẹ bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ sókè díẹ̀ sá. Ẹ bá wa gbóhùn sókè díẹ̀ sá.
Orúkọ mi Ọládàpọ̀ Ọláìdé. Mo jẹ́ mẹ́mbà Ìbàdàn Golf Club. Èmi àti Dúdúọlá Ìgbòrónkẹ́ la jọ wà lálẹ́ àná. Wọ́n ní pé n fẹ́ rí wọn. Wọ́n pè mí lálẹ́ ìjẹta, wọ́n pè mí irú aago yẹn rí. Nǹkan bí aago 10 a sọ̀rọ̀ fún mo fẹ́ sùn ni. Wọ́n pè mí bí aago 3. Bí aago 10 a sọ̀rọ̀ fún 20 ìṣẹ́jú àti 3. Wọ́n fi ẹjọ́ nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní golf club wọ́n fẹjọ́ sùn mí. Mo wà ní kọ́ṣà ní sùúrù kan jẹ́ kí lẹ́nu. Ó wáyé kájọ play láago 2 àná. Èmi àti wọn Ọ̀túnba Abímbọ́lá Davis wọn dóde wa láago 2 wọn lọ káwa tó dé pátá àmà fi dé àṣà àwà bọ́ọ̀lù 2 ní àbọ́sórí golf club àbẹ̀rẹ̀. Pátá wa wà ní 02 àwọn wà ní 06. Mo wá bí wọn pé a máa ń fẹ́ rí wọn tá a bá parí pé lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó pè mí sí lánàá. That was around bí nǹkan bí aago 7 lálẹ́ àná. Wọ́n náà wà ní meeting táwọn bá parí àwọn abàmì ní òkè. Wọ́n dẹ̀ wà nǹkan bí aago 9 àdẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn. Èèyàn kan ló ṣẹ̀wọ̀n tá à ń bá bẹ̀bẹ̀ èmi àti Akínfúnmiláyọ̀. Ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn dùn wọ́n dẹ̀ ìgbà tó yá wọ́n gbẹ̀bẹ̀. Lẹ́yìn tán gbẹ̀bẹ̀ tán ni àwa ní ká pe ẹni tó ṣẹ̀ mi fẹ́ dárúkọ nítàn. Ká pe ẹni tó ṣẹ̀ kó náà wá fẹnu ẹ̀ sọ pé kó má bínú. Wọn ò tí ì sọ pé ó yẹ pé àbí kẹ́ má pè. Mo kàn rí tán rẹ́rìn lálàkọ́kọ́ ni. Mo rẹ́rìn ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì bí Akínfúnmiláyọ̀ ṣe sọ pé ẹ̀jẹ̀ irú lélẹ́yìí pé stroke ló ń bọ̀ yìí. A ṣe try láti dì wọ́n lọ́mú ni wọ́n revive wọn. Alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì wọ́n dúró 1 minute. Bí Ọlá Ìgbòrónkẹ́ ṣe lọ nìyẹn.
Ṣé ń fún yín lára tẹ́lẹ̀ bóyá àìsàn kan wà bí ó sì?
Mo ní wọ́n play 18 holes. Àjọ wà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ní alẹ́ Friday ni tó gbèsè rẹ̀ ń kọrin ní Ìkẹjà golf club. Àjọ jáyé lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ni. Èmi ti dé sí Ìbàdàn jọ Saturday àwọn jíde láàárọ̀ àná wọ́n fò gan láti kó dé Àbújá dé Ìbàdàn ni wọ́n wá báyìí road kan so wọ́n wà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ nígbà tó ń pè mí lálẹ́ ìjẹta yìí so kò sí kankan tó ṣe wọ́n wọ́n play tí o mú gbọ́ yín.
Ẹ jẹ́ ká tún mọ ẹni tá à ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí orúkọ yín lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí.
Engineer Ọládàpọ̀ Ọláìdé Rotimi.
Ẹ ṣe gan ni sá.
Àdúpẹ́ fọlọ́.
Alẹ́ sọ bí ẹ ṣe ń darapọ̀ mọ́ fọ́nrán tẹ̀ ń wò yìí ni àwa nílé olóògbé Ọlá Ìgbòrónkẹ́ tí gbogbo ìmọ̀ sí Dúdú Heritage ní agbègbè Bódìjà nílùú Ìbàdàn. Ọ̀kan lára àwọn akẹgbẹ́ wọn la bá sọ̀rọ̀ tán sí tán sọ pé títí àná àwọn ti jọ ṣeré pọ̀ èyí ò ń bí tí wọ́n ti ń gbá gọ́ọ̀fù kí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yìí tó ṣẹlẹ̀.
Hello? Okay. Now I wanted to be sure if it's on Twitter and say you should interview that person. So don't interview anybody just except to tell you, please, I know you, I know your...
That's good now. What's it on?
Okay, let me come and
Ọ̀dà gbajúgbajà ṣeré Jaiye Kuti àwọn náà wà níbí láti wá bá àwọn ẹbí kẹ́dùn. Ẹ kúrò lẹ́mọ̀.
Ìjàre ṣe dáadáa ni.
Àdúpẹ́ àsìkò ọ̀rọ̀ èèyàn mọ́.
Àwa nìyẹn.
A mọ̀ pé ẹ súnmọ́ ìdílé yìí díẹ̀ nítorí àǹtí Bímbọ́.
Ó kọjá díẹ̀.
Ẹ sọ fún wa nípa ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí gan.
Kí wọ́n ní akáṣọ lérí ó ń sunkún ara wọn ni. Kò dẹ̀ sẹ́ni tí ò ní lọ ọjọ́ gbogbo àná ló yàtọ̀ so ọlọ́jọ́ ló dé. Ó dẹ̀ dé kò ṣe kó dé nídìí wípé ẹni yóò ṣàìsàn tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ kò ṣàárẹ̀ kankan ó gbá gọ́ọ̀fù tán ni gbogbo wọn dẹ̀ lọ wẹ̀ wọ́n dẹ̀ jókòó sí tébù pé káwọn jẹun wọ́n dẹ̀ débẹ̀ ló dẹ̀ di wípé ó rẹ́ni àkọ́kọ́ wọ́n dẹ̀ rẹ́ni ẹ̀kejì the next wọ́n kàn rí kó dà pé nǹkan kan mẹ́rin ìdání wọ́n dẹ̀ lọlẹ̀ bí wọ́n ṣe lọ nìyẹn béèrè bẹ́ẹ̀ ni eré ṣe di èrò ọ̀rọ̀ nìyẹn ìgbà tó dẹ̀ yá náà dẹ̀ pé èmi because wọn mọ bọ́n ṣe máa sọ fún Bímbọ́ wọn mọ̀ pé mi ò gbé Ìbàdàn èmi tí wọ́n sọ fún wọn mọ̀ pé èmi náà ti di játijàti àbí bí kí mo fi wá pé Bímbọ́ ni pé get so I don't know how èmi gan tí wọ́n pè ti di játijàti so bọ́n ṣe pè mí èmi náà tó pe Fétíà gbà mí mo máa gbọ́rọ̀ ń bolo wà lóun wà nílé okay good wọ́n ní pé ọkọ Bímbọ́ ṣaláìsí o òun náà tún kígbe kí la wá fẹ́ ṣe báyìí báwo la ṣe fẹ́ sọ news yìí ta ní because láàrin òrùnbó la fẹ́ lọ àṣà ní káwọn àgbààgbà ìjọ gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe lè sọ ẹ̀sọ́ káwa náà fi débi ní àárọ̀ yìí wọ́n ṣàwà gbé nílé wọ́n ṣàdọ́gbọ́n fún títí ọ̀gbẹ́dọ̀ hospital wọ́n dẹ̀ là mọ́lẹ̀ pé tó kò ṣẹlẹ̀ o ṣiṣẹ́ fún òun nìyẹn ìgbà tó máa fi pè mí ní tó bá ti sọ fún tó ẹ jẹ́ kí n gbọ́ ohun tó bá ṣe o so bọ́n ṣe pè mí mo ti ń gbọ́ tó ti ń dún sálẹ̀ mo ti mọ̀ pé ó ti di iṣu àtayànyàn náà bá ń pè mí kémi wá strong ẹjọ́ báwo lèmi ṣe fẹ́ wà strong títí mo fi dé ìta ni ó dà pé kan ní sọ pé òun rí mi ì lè wọlé ṣé a sick person wey dey say make e dey strong how do you want to be strong for somebody like that ikú la pé o so àdúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run fún ẹ̀mí and a life well spent.
gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tó súnmọ́ ìdílé yìí ṣé kò sí pé kó fìrí ẹ̀ pé àwọn ti ń ṣàìsàn tẹ́lẹ̀ rí àbí kankan.
wọn ò ṣàìsàn níwájú Ọlọ́run àti nípa ẹni tó ṣàìsàn lè gbá gọ́ọ̀fù wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ṣe nǹkan kan tán ní ìran èdè bìfọ̀ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àwọn gọ́vàs wọ́n tún wá sí kínní wọn ṣàìsàn kankan nǹkan kò ṣe wọn àlọ́ ṣẹ̀ gbá gọ́ọ̀fù tán lẹ́yìn lálàáfíà kò lè digi mú it was fine it was very fine.
kí làwọn tẹ̀lé sọ fún wa nípa olóògbé Ọláìbẹ̀rùnkẹ́ àti táwọn èèyàn ṣàfẹ́rí ẹ̀ ń pa wọn.
ẹ mọ̀ pé oníyẹ̀yẹ́ lèmi àti wọn a máa ń ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́ gan tèmi wá ti rí wọn owó tèmi dà èmi mò ń tọ́jú ọ̀rẹ́ yín owó mi dà so tí bá dẹ̀ ti sọ tó bá yọ wọn á fún mi lówó mo tún lè ní òtò we were friends he was a wonderful person to me then tí bá dé jayé ó yá ó ti wà lẹ́ ó yá jámu drink anytime people is celebrating her birthday I will be here if we are doing something we are always a máa ń pàdé gan ní hotel wa tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ Bond Hotel we have family get together so I don't know one day èmi ò mọ bẹ́ẹ̀ yàn ṣe ń kú bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn o I don't understand so he was a good man.
ẹ ṣe gan ni mo.
ẹ ṣe gan. mo fẹ́ kẹ́ bá ọ̀gá wọn sọ̀rọ̀
a lè sọ bóyá ẹ̀ ń ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ fọ́nrán tí a ń wò lójú ìwòran yín nìkan ní BBC News Yorùbá a wà ní agbègbè Bódìjà nílùú Ìbàdàn nílé olóògbé Ọláìbẹ̀rùnkẹ́ tí gbogbo ènìyàn mọ̀ sí Dúdú Heritage ọkọ gbajúgbajà òṣèré tíátà Bímbọ́ Ọ̀ṣìn ilé wọn náà la wà báyìí tí ẹbí ará ọ̀rẹ́ ojúlùmọ̀ àti àwọn akẹgbẹ́ wọn lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ tí wọ́n wá láti wá bá wọn kẹ́dùn àti bá méjì sọ̀rọ̀ lára àwọn ènìyàn tí ó bá wọn péjú pésẹ̀ sí ilé wọn ní Bódìjà láti wá kẹ́dùn àkọ́kọ́ nu wọn ni ẹni tí ó jẹ́ bí ọ̀rẹ́ àti ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ bọ́ọ̀lù aláfigigbá èyí ń gọ́ọ̀fù tí wọ́n ń gbá ẹyin orí ilẹ̀ tí wọ́n fi gbígbá tí wọ́n jẹ́ ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ gọ́fàs ní Ọ̀yọ́ wọn ní títí àná pé olóògbé báwọn gbá bọ́ọ̀lù yìí ibi wọ́n ti ń gbà lọ́wọ́ náà wọ́n ti ń kófìrí ẹ̀ pé ó dà pé fẹ́ máa ṣọwọ́ bákan kọ́ tó já síbi tí ó já sí àti bá gbajúgbajà òṣèré tíátà náà arábìnrin Jayé Kútì náà sọ̀rọ̀ tí àwọn náà bá wọn kẹ́dùn wọn láwọn gan ti wà lára wọn tó kọ́kọ́ pé wọn ò tí mọ̀ bí wọ́n ti sọ fún àǹtí Bímbọ́ bọ́fọ̀ ti ṣẹ̀ Jayé Kútì ní bí wọ́n ṣe gbọ́ náà ni wọ́n ti pe àǹtí Fétíà Balógun pé bó láti sọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀ wáyé sí nítorí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ àìròtẹ́lẹ̀ tó wáyé yìí kí ọ̀rọ̀ tó débi tó dé yìí agboolé wọn náà làwà báyìí ní agbègbè ibi tí wọ́n ń gbé ní Bódìjà ìlú Ìbàdàn láti wo bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ sí wọ́n ti gbé ìwé lẹ̀ tí àwọn èèyàn buwọ́lù látàárọ̀ lónìí nínú ilé wọn ìwé ìbánikẹ́dùn ó wà níbi orí tábìlì kan nù ọgbà ilé náà tí àwọn ènìyàn buwọ́lù láti ṣe ìdágbére kẹ́yìn fún olóògbé náà. Okay. I take picture. Commissioner for what? No. Àti inú ilé àti ta lókun fọ́fọ́fọ́ fún onírúurú àwọn ènìyàn tó ti ń wọlé jáde láti òwúrọ̀ òní níbi tó ti wá bá wọn kẹ́dùn nílé Ọlá Ìgbìròǹkẹ́ tí gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ sí Dúdú Heritage ọkọ̀ gbajúgbajà òṣèré tíátà Bímbọ́ Ọ̀ṣìn. Ilé wọn náà la ṣe wà báyìí níbi tí àti aṣojú ìjọba o àtọlọ́dọ́ni àti àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ tí bàbá ìjẹ́ kan lára àwọn ibi tó ti ń gbá gọ́ọ̀fù yíyan ẹ̀yìn orí ilẹ̀ tá à ń fi gbígbá tó fi máa àwọn òṣèré tíátà oríṣiríṣi àwọn èèyàn náà ló ti ń wọlé wọ̀de láti wá bá wọn kẹ́dùn láti ìgbà tójú ti mọ́ lónìí ní ilé wọn tó ń bẹ ní agbègbè Bódìjà nílùú Ìbàdàn. Láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà ọ̀tún gbogbo yàrá láǹfààní láti bá bí ẹyọ kan tàbí méjì sọ̀rọ̀ lára àwọn èèyàn wọn kó tó di pé a ó já mi lórí ohun tá a wá ṣe ní ilé náà. Àwa lè sọ bóyá ń ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa bí yàrá wòrán abẹ́gbóhùn lẹ́fìdẹ̀sẹ̀ dúró nìkan ní BBC ní Yorùbá kẹ́mọ́ kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Àwa nílé olóògbé Ọlá Ìgbìròǹkẹ́ tí wọ́n jáde láyé lánàá. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ ṣe gbọ́rọ̀ yìí náà làwa náà gbọ́ ta ní kí adébẹ̀ ká lè fìdí èyí ti jẹ́ òkúdo ọ̀rọ̀ múlẹ̀ lórí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ọ̀hún. Lára àwọn tó ti wà níbi tí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ náà ti ṣẹlẹ̀ láti kọ́kọ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀ náà tí wọ́n ṣe lálàyé ọ̀rọ̀ pé ibi tí wọ́n ti ń ṣeré ìdárayá tí wọ́n ń gbá gọ́ọ̀fù yíyan ẹ̀yìn orí ilẹ̀ tá à ń figi gbá sínú ihò ni wọ́n ní ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ wọn. Kí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ náà tó ṣẹlẹ̀ bákan náà láti bá gbajúgbajà òṣèré tíátà Jaiye Kuti náà sọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n ní ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ọ̀hún ó bá wọn lójijì. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àwọn gan ni wọ́n kọ́kọ́ pè pé kí àwọn bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní tu ìyàwó àti ọgbọ́n tí wọ́n fi sọ fún un tí ò tún fi ní dá nǹkan míì sílẹ̀. Ilé wọn náà la ṣe wà ní Bódìjà báyìí bí nǹkan bá ṣe ń lọ sí lẹ́mọ̀ láǹfààní láti gbọ́ àti láti máa wò ó.
Mo ṣẹ́wọ́ sí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ní kíni ẹ̀kọ́ tó ṣe tó wá dúró ẹ̀kọ́ tó àwọn ṣe mo ti sọ mo gbọ́ sọ.
Ṣé record àwọn tó wá látọ̀dọ̀ gọ́ọ̀mù? We are come to this woman, fair woman. According to the see over there, want to hear from the example.
Auntie,
yes, I take care.
Hello, ma.
Yes, sir.
BBC Yoruba. Okay.
Okay, my friend is saying.
ẹyin okay alright lára àwọn aṣojú ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ tí wọ́n bá wọn.
ibi àbá tó máa sọ̀rọ̀ bí.
ibi láti
a máa ṣe níbà.
àwọn tó aṣojú gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé nílẹ̀ àwọn olóògbé náà ni a fẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀ báyìí. ẹ kúrò lẹ́sà ẹ ra sà a kú ọ̀rọ̀ èèyàn sà ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn èèyàn ẹni tá à ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ sà.
orúkọ mi ni Honorable Ọláwálé Abdulmajid Mọ́júmọ́ tí mo jẹ́ igbákejì olórí olóṣèlú gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ti ìlú Ọ̀yọ́.
nígbà tí olóògbé ṣì wà láyé ṣe ẹni ìbáṣepọ̀ kan pẹ̀lú wọn àbí ẹ̀kàn gbọ́ròyìn wọn lókèrè ni.
mo really níbáṣepọ̀ pẹ̀lú wọn tó pọ̀ àmọ́ wọ́n dàbí ẹ̀gbọ́n tí mo mọ̀ látòkèrè ni by virtue of wípé wọ́n jẹ́ chairman golf club nìbàdàn wọ́n dẹ̀ tún jẹ́ èèyàn tó ń ṣe dáadáa dóò mo ti gbórúkọ wọn lágbàtà wa kékeré dúdú heritage so àná tọ́kùn mo ṣe mọ̀ pé àwọn ló ń pè ní dúdú yẹn bọ̀ wọ́n jẹ́ èèyàn tó tí wọ́n nífẹ̀ẹ́ ọmọdé púpọ̀ tó dẹ̀ máa ń ṣe dáadáa púpọ̀ so mo mọ̀ wọ́n àjọ súnmọ́ àwọn àbọ̀ mo mọ̀ wọ́n látòkèrè by virtue of iṣẹ́ tí mo ń ṣe pẹ̀lú gọ́vnà so tá a bá ti ní anything ní golf club máa ń tẹ̀lé gọ́vnà lọ wọ́n dẹ̀ ìfà ó nígbà kan tó yẹ pé issue wà wọ́n pẹ̀lú àwọn tí wọ́n á sọ̀fẹ̀ ní ọ́fíìsì ní secretariat.
látòkèrè ọ̀hún kí láwọn ìròyìn mi tuntun gbọ́n pa àwọn tẹ́ fi lè sọ nípa èèyàn tí wọ́n jẹ́ nígbà tí wọ́n wà láyé.
adúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run pé wọ́n lo ìgbésí ayé kan dáadáa wọ́n jẹ́ èèyàn tó yẹ pé it's full of life wọ́n dẹ̀ ní sí nídìí ìbàjẹ́ mo rí wọn pé most of the time I mean we've had things together lórí nǹkan tí mo sọ lórí ìgbà táwọn àwọn ìyálọ́jà tí issue ìyálọ́jà ọ̀sẹ̀ ìyálọ́jà wà ń pẹ̀lú àwọn tó intervene tó wá surface tó sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn láti bọ́ síbi tó dá
ẹ jẹ́ kí a mọ̀ yín lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i.
orúkọ mi máa ń sọ ní Honorable Ọláwálé Abdulmajid Mọ́júbọ́lá tí mo jẹ́ igbákejì olórí òṣìṣẹ́ gómìnà Ọ̀yọ́ state onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ Ṣèyí Mákindé.
ẹ ṣé gan ni sá ọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́tí gbọ́ láti ẹnu ọ̀kan lára àwọn alábàáṣepọ̀ gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ Abdulmajid Mọ́júbọ́lá tí wọ́n wá ṣojú gómìnà nílé àwọn olóògbé Ọlá Ìbírùnkẹ́ tí wọ́n jẹ́ Ọlọ́run nípè lánàá ọkànjọkọ náà ni àwọn èèyàn mẹ́ta tá a ti bá sọ̀rọ̀ yìí ti bá wa sọ nípa olóògbé nípa iṣẹ́ ni àti ìṣesí wọn nígbà tí wọ́n wà láàyè báwọn èrò ṣe ń jáde náà ni wọ́n tún wọlé padà ní ilé wọn tó ń bẹ lágbègbè Bódìjà nínú Ìbàdàn látòkò níyì ẹ ó láǹfààní láti gbọ́ díẹ̀ sí lẹ́nu àwọn ènìyàn tí ó bá wọn kẹ́dùn.
So now, wait,
àǹtí orígì àyà ẹ̀rọ àǹtí èlò wà ní ìgbà yìí. ṣé pé
padà níbi tí àtúwà bá wọn èèyàn kẹ́dùn ní alága tampa nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ Mama Rose Odika àwọn náà wà níbi tí ẹ̀yà wà yìí ẹ kúrò lẹ́mọ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká rojú yín mọ́ ẹ ṣe gan ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́ akọ rẹ̀ yín mọ́ àmọ́ pé ẹgbọ́ ṣẹlẹ̀ tó ṣẹlẹ̀ náà lè fi wá bí ẹ bá wa fìdí ọ̀rọ̀ múlẹ̀ lórí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ náà mọ́.
òótọ́ ni wípé dúdú heritage ọkọ Bímbọ́ ṣe wọ́n ti dágbére fáyé ní àná ní golf club ní Ìbàdàn.
ó dà gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tí ó súnmọ́ ìdílé yìí díẹ̀ nípasẹ̀ àti Bímbọ́ kí lè sọ fún wa nípa olóògbé mọ́.
olóògbé jẹ́ ẹni tó níwà tútù tí gbogbo èèyàn dẹ̀ fẹ́ràn látọ̀ àárọ̀ làwọn èèyàn ti rán wá bí ó túmọ̀ sí pé ẹni tó dáa tó níwà tó dáa ẹni tí òun náà máa ń ro èrè kan ní sí ó dùn gbogbo èèyàn wípé lásìkò yìí kí wọn máa ṣàárẹ̀ kó kàn ṣubú kó kú ó bá wa lójijì ó dẹ̀ dùn wá so àgbàládùn àpè kọ́nà kó tẹ̀ wọ́n sí afẹ́fẹ́ rere olóògbé ẹni tó dáa ni wọ́n.
ọ̀dà ṣe gbọ́n bóyá ibi ti kéde ìgbà tí wọ́n ṣèsìnkú àbí nǹkan.
ẹbí ò tí ì kéde ìgbà tí wọ́n ṣe
ẹ ṣe gan ló ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn èèyàn tún mọ̀ yín lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí àwọn èèyàn tún mọ̀.
orúkọ tèmi ni Rose Odika.
ẹ ṣe gan mọ́. ọ̀dà bóyá tí ẹ láǹfààní láti wà látẹ̀kàn nírí jù báyìí lọ láti ilé olóògbé Ọláìbírónkẹ́ Dúdú heritage tí wọ́n jẹ́ lọ́run nípè lánàá bí nǹkan bá tún ṣe ń lọ sí ẹ máa láǹfààní láti gbọ́ síwájú sí lórí kan BBC News Yorùbá ẹ ṣeun ẹ kú ojú ìwòran wa.
ìyá wa Bímbọ́ ṣì mo ṣe ládùúgbà pé ẹ̀yin ní ẹ̀yìn tí Dúdú heritage fi sílẹ̀ ẹ̀yin náà ò ní bàjẹ́ o iwájú tán sì dojúkọ elédùn ọ̀jẹ̀ kan dáa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí lórúkọ gbogbo crew members gbàgede ìmọ̀ bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ TV a fi àsìkò ìṣe ládùúgbà wípé a ní rí àròkú wọlé àtàròkú jáde mọ́ o ní inú ilé yín ayé ò sì ní bọ́ bàtọ̀fọ̀ sínú ilé yín o pẹ̀lẹ́ àná kò ní jẹ́ ti yín mọ́ tọmọtọmọ àmì elédùn ọba òkè tó lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ẹ wo ibi tí wọ́n kọ subscribe sí tí ẹ bá ti tẹ̀ ẹ bá wa tẹ̀ kẹ́ẹ̀sì wo ibi tí wọ́n fi àmì aago sí kí ẹ bá wa tẹ̀ yẹn náà tí wọ́n bá nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí fídíò tó wò yìí tí ò sì tí ì ṣe ń tà sọ yìí ó ṣe bá wa ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ lónìí kájọ kan mọ̀ lùbọ́ oníyanṣẹ́ ọlọ́kàṣe gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ bá wa wo ètò tèmi gbogbo yín náà la dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ à ń ṣe stúdíò wa yìí lọ́wọ́ à ń fi nǹkan tó yẹ ká fi sí lọ́wọ́ gbogbo tá à ń ṣe ìyàkànṣe tẹsán ni nígbà tá a bá parí iṣẹ́ ẹ̀yin náà ó mọ̀ pé gbàgede ìmọ̀ ti dé next level àbí bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ TV torí pé a ti rí online TV mo sì rọ̀ yín pé ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá ti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ẹ darapọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà tó ni pé láìpẹ́ a máa gba ìpolówó ọjà hòtẹ́ẹ̀lì kan wà tí mo máa ń polówó ṣé ẹ gbàgbé Times Square Hotel ní Ìjẹ̀bú Òru à ń ṣe fídíò fún lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tó bá parí a kò máa pè ẹ̀gàn tẹ́ máa rí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá láǹfààní láti wá sí Ogun State láti bára yín lógun State níbikíbi lógun State ẹ ṣáà drive down to Òru Ìjẹ̀bú ẹ bèrè Times Square Hotel níbẹ̀ lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ni wọ́n fi bẹ̀ hàn yín wà ní number 1 Times Square Close Ajébọ̀ Òru Ìjẹ̀bú lógun State fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé lórí hòtẹ́ẹ̀lì yìí ẹ pè àwọn nọ́mbà yìí 081 09 89 8110 0810 989 8110 tàbí 0806 059 8367 Times Square Hotel nọ́mbà wọn la sọ yìí ibi tí gbádùn parí sí ni o nílùú Ogun State ààbò tó péye wà ń bẹ̀ iná wọn kì í ṣẹ́jú n tó bá mo ṣẹ́jú lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ní standby generator ti dà yín lóhùn Times Square Hotel ibi tí àjẹgbádùn àti ìgbádùn lógun State ibi tó parí sí ni ẹ bá wọn nájà lónìí kẹ́yìn náà sì rí i pé lódodo òní ń tà ń sọ oníyanṣẹ́ ọlọ́kàṣe ògbògbò èyí tí ẹ bá wá jẹ́ tòní náà gbòyìn náà làkì ẹ ṣeun ojú tẹ fi ń wò wá òní fọ́ bákan náà ni títẹ̀ fi ń gbọ́ wa òní di lágbára Olódùà ọba òkè. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tún jọ darapọ̀ lọ́la nígbà tá a tún mú ètò míì wá, ètò bàbá gbàgede mọ̀ live, bàbá gbàgede mọ̀ TV, lágbára Olódùà ọba òkè. Èmi ní màá wá o, ẹ̀yin náà sì ní màá bá. Ó yá, ẹ jẹ́ á lọ. Ẹ ṣeun o, ire o, kàǹkà.